Hey guys, welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about hair shedding. Hair shedding is something that is seen as most dramatical experience when one is dealing with a hair loss. And I want to talk about basically what is ideal amount of the hairs that should be falling out on daily basis. I want to talk about my experience with the hair shedding when, for example, my treatment is working and when I have issues in terms of my treatment. And I also want to talk about what you can do to reduce the daily hair shed as much as possible. And for you guys who are new to the channel, remember to subscribe so you get notification about latest content that I upload. And if you're new or subscriber, welcome back. My name is Alex, and I'm previously a hair loss sufferer who was able to regrow back my own hair, and I'm also a certificated trichologist. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the most common questions that I usually get on my channel, and it is about how many hairs is it normal to lose on daily basis. And if you Google it up, it will show you that it is 50 to 100 hairs a day. And that number, again, it is something that is average number, but that number can be low or high depending on the individual context, right? So for example, if someone is losing 50 to 100 hairs a day, but the hair loss itself or hair loss progression is stable, like the one is not kind of slowly thinning out or hair loss is progressing, then losing 50 to 100 hairs a day is not that big problem, right? And again, there are steps to do to reduce that amount, and I will talk about it later, but basically on this type of context, it's not a big issue. But for example, if someone is losing 50 to 100 hairs a day and is continuously thinning out, like the hair loss is progressing, either slowly or time, then it is a problem that needs to be addressed. Right, so even if one, for example, has that kind of indication of 50 to 100 hairs a day, that is average amount to lose on daily basis, it still can be an issue for someone who is continuously basically thinning out as the hair are falling. And in terms of, for example, my experience with the hair shed, like when I do things or I have some kind of problem in my treatment or I do mistakes myself, my shed increases, right? And if I do everything correctly, my shed is very low. And that's kind of indicator for me when things are working well, when I do things correctly, then my shed is low, and when I do mistakes, my shed becomes much higher. And the way I kind of look at the shed is by context. So basically I use a context of different situations and count the hair, how many hairs I actually would see in those different scenarios. So to give you an example, for example, let's say if I take a shower and apply shampoo on my hair, I will look at my palms and I will see how many hairs I have after applying shampoo. And if the number is from 0 to 5, then everything is fine, right? And if there is more than 5 hairs on my palms after a shampoo application, like I would look at my palms like this, then I know that there is a problem. And for example, in the case of, let's say, if I brush my hair and I see, let's say 0 to 5 hairs, then I know that everything is fine. But if I see more than 5 hairs, then I know that there is possibly some kind of issue going on. And also when I apply minoxidil, like the same thing, if I look at my fingertips after minoxidil application, and I see more than 5 hairs on my fingertips, then I know that there is issue. Or in terms of pillowcase, when I wake up in the morning, right? If I do see more than 5 hairs on my pillowcase, again, I know that there is issue, or in terms of my hair cycle or my DHT sensitivity or other underlying problems. And this is the kind of indicators that I use, right? So basically I count the hair during different contexts of the situations. Right, so for example, yesterday when I applied the shampoo on my scalp or my hair, I did see 1 hair in my palms after application of the shampoo. When I did apply minoxidil, for example, on my scalp, I did see 0 to 1 hairs. Like it was possibly there was actually 0 hair yesterday. And when I, for example, brushed my hair yesterday, I did see 3 hairs in brush afterwards. And when I woke up in the morning on my pillow, there was 0 hair, right? So basically, it just shows that it is possible to get that number as low as possible if everything is working well. And lately I did, for example, post a community post from someone who shared his experience with the program, like I will insert it in this video here as well. And he basically have been able to get down from excessive hair or hair shed on daily basis to down to almost 0 hairs that are falling out. So it is possible to get there if you are addressing the underlying factors that is causing your hair to become weaker and fall out. And there are many things that can affect the hair cycle, right? So basically, things that can affect the hair cycle, for example, could be, for example, things in your lifestyle, in terms of, for example, stress levels, in terms of sleep patterns, in terms of if you are, for example, having alcohol or smoking, for example, those things can affect the hair cycle itself. And then there is also other disturbances, such as, for example, diet, nutritional factors, dietary factors, food factors, right? What kind of foods you are having. Those also can affect and cause additional hair shedding. For example, if you are having wrong foods in your diet. Because remember that when we are having hair loss, our follicles become much weaker compared to someone who doesn't have hair loss. And when the follicles become weaker, they react much easier to different factors that usually shouldn't cause the hair to fall out for someone who doesn't have hair loss. But because we have weaker follicles, we are much more kind of easily affected by those factors. Right, and same, for example, with DHT sensitivity. So if you are doing, for example, things in your lifestyle that is affecting, causing your higher DHT sensitivity, for example, that could be, for example, more stress, smoking, for example, then it can also affect and cause that follicles get weaker. Even if you are blocking DHT with, let's say, finasteride or supplements such as sulfametto, still that the DHT sensitivity spike can be a problem and cause that there is additional hair shed. And from my experience, basically, like if I do things correctly in my treatment, my shed is very low, right? There is very few hairs that I see, and it's much lower than those 50 hairs, like on low range that is, for example, showing up in the Google if you search how much hair is normal to lose on a daily basis. Like right now, for example, I would kind of, if I count all the hair that I would see during the day, it would be around 10, maybe maximum 15 hairs during the day. Like this is amount I'm able to actually get down to. But when I have issues in my treatment, that number would be up to 30, 60 hair, right? So it just shows that if there is a problem, shedding can be used as an indicator to see if there is issue in any part of the treatment. And again, when you do, for example, things in terms of improving your lifestyle, improving your diet, improving your like overall stress levels, for example, like it's not that you are going to see less shed right away. Right? It will take time before the shed actually starts to decrease. It will take maybe, like it will have a time gap for around 1 to 2 weeks before you actually notice a difference, and sometimes even longer before you notice difference in terms of less shed. Right? So it's not like it's if you do things correctly, the next morning you wake up, there is no shed. No, that doesn't happen. Even if you are, for example, let's say having high DHT sensitivity and you start to block DHT, it still will be something that slowly will reduce your shed over time. Right? It's not going to stop the shed right away next day or next week, for example. So this is important to kind of be realistic about it. But in terms of, for example, making hair strong, right? So what you need to be aware of is that you are optimizing your lifestyle, right? So basically this is very important part of making sure that your lifestyle optimized and you are having a good measurement of the stress, good sleep, for example. You also want to be sure that your diet is nutrition dense and having a lot of protein in it, that you are not calorie deficient, for example, that you are also making sure that you are, for example, getting and doing things that are helpful to keep your hair cycle strong, right? That basically will be exercise, workouts, having active lifestyle, right? Those are important for the hair cycle, and of course making sure that your DHT sensitivity is as low as possible, right? So you want to avoid, for example, things that can spike DHT sensitivity in terms of lifestyle, in terms of basically diet, for example, or stress, like, and because just blocking DHT is not enough if you want to keep the hair long term. Right, and especially now when like last year I had some problems myself with my hair loss because I did some mistakes in my treatment, and it was actually a mistake that was indirectly done because I was having problems with a minoxidil supplier, and I did learn a lot during that time in terms of what is kind of a normal shed and what can happen if the shed is increasing and how it can be used as indicator in terms of finding out if there is a problem with the treatment. Because what happened last year, and I made the video about it, is that my shed just kept increasing when I had those issues during those summer months last year, and you can find the video about it. So this is something I wanted to share with you guys in today's video, and for you guys who are struggling with the hair loss and you need help and guidance in terms of getting results, you can schedule a call below this video. There's a link for it. Let's talk and find out what is holding you back, what you can do right now to actually improve your hair once and for all and see results. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and see you next one. Cheers.